In this video, we are going to see how to make advanced equip system in Unity. So let's get started. So these will be our result. First, create a C# script, name it anything you want. Then in that script, first we want to use the public variable for drop, camera, and player. Then we want to create a public variable for gun as game object. Then we want to create another public variable for camera. Then we want to create a range for drop, and by default it will be 2. Then create another public float for open, and by default it will be 100. Then create another public variable for box collider as cool. Then create another public bool variable for equipped. Then a public static bool variable for slot full. Static means it will remain same for all of the script and it will never change. Then we want to create a reference to rigid body as RB. Then we want to create a serializa field for range to pick up, and it will be 2 by default. Then a private bool for as drop to true. Then in void start we want to make the rigid body of gun is kinematic to true. And we want to run the unequip object shoot and equip object. Then we want to make a vector 3 distance to player transform position and subtract it to transform position. Then in if statement we want to check if equipped is false and player has pressed Q and has dropped is false. Then we want to make the has dropped to true. Then we want to call the same functions which we called in void start. Then we want to do the same thing, but we add to check if equipped is false and player has pressed E and distance to player magnitude is bigger than range and slot full is not true. If these all statements is true, then it will run equip object. And we want to make the has dropped to false so that it can run again when we want to run the unequip object. Then we want to check if equipped if false, and if it is true then it will make the rigid body kinematic to false and box collider to false. Then we want to check if equipped is true, and if this statement is true then it will make rigid body kinematic and box collider to true. Then we want to check if range to pick up is 2, and if this statement is true then it will make rigid body kinematic to false, box collider is triggered to true, slot full to true, then again it will make the box collider to false. Then in void shoot we want to create a reference of ray cast hit to hit. Then we want to use the same method which we use while making the grappling hook. If it is true then it will make debug ray cast, and also it will make a component named as target. Then we want to create a void function for unequip, and in it will drop the child of the gun and gun out of the main camera. This line is just complicated to understand, so let's try to make it simple for you. So basically, it allows the gun to be dropped at X, Y, Z axis. Then we want to make the gun rigid body is kinematic to false. Then we want to make everything to false and make the range to pick up to 0. And we same thing for equip object. In Unity we also have to set up some things. First, create an empty game object and name it drop. Then make the grappling hook. You can watch the process of creating grappling hook in my channel. Then create another empty game object and name it something like drop position. And set it where you want the gun to be dropped. And make it as a child of the gun. And make sure that the position of the gun and rotation of the gun is 0. To do that, copy the component values of the gun transform and paste in that empty game object drop and make the gun as a child of drop. And now as you can see, the position add rotation of the gun has become 0. Then put the script into your gun. Also set all of the reference of the gun. And you are done. That's it for today's.